Yeah, no, I'll just, looks like the recording's already started, so that's cool. And so, hey, everyone, thanks for coming to the Champaign Blockchain Meetup. If for those of you attending in person, feel free to grab some lunch here if you can eat during the presentation. We got some beefy dough and some drinks. And otherwise, if you're at home, I hope you guys got something good to eat at home. But we're trying to do this hybrid thing so that people who can be here in person can be here in person and gather and get to know each other. And people who can't can walk, join us via Zoom, still participate or watch the recording later and get to know what's going on here on campus. So our speakers for today are from the Gies Disruption Lab. Professor Kinsey was already getting started, so I'll just go ahead and hand it over to him to introduce what the Disruption Lab is doing this year. And since I didn't actually say who I am, my name is Adam Rush. I am the organizer for the Champaign Blockchain Meetup that meets here at Enterprise Works in the UI Research Park. And we're sponsored by the Research Park, and it's a great resource. So I encourage you guys to go to the Research Park's webpage, see about the events they have coming up for networking. There's going to be a Fire at 5 event tonight. So if you can make it there, if you're like, especially like for grad students and stuff who are looking for networking in terms of employers and interns and stuff like that, it's a fantastic resource. Get to know people, get to see some of the stuff going on, and just sort of get to connect with the Research Park that has so much innovation on this campus. So I'll turn it over to you guys. Thanks so much for being here and being our guest for today.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thanks for the invitation and the partnership. And also, we did a joint venture just a few weeks ago when Keith Wheeler, Representative Wheeler, came down, which and he did a great job organizing. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
And Vishal, I see that you're on. Welcome, Vishal.
Hey everyone.
Want to give yourself a quick introduction?
Sure, I'm a faculty in the College of Business in the information systems area, and interested in this space and looking to be a part of the community and learn and share.
Excellent. Thank you. Excited to have you. All right. So again, my name is Jacob Kinsey. I work for the Gies College of Business. I oversee Illinois Business Consulting and also Illinois Consulting Academy. I've gotten involved in the Disruption Lab within the Disruption Innovation Unit here at Gies. We actually have a Chief Disruption Innovation Officer named Robert Bruner. And one of his ideas was to create this lab where we got together and created some really cool stuff. Really immersive and just cutting edge technology with students from across the campus. So it's housed in Gies for a couple reasons. Number one, it's very oriented on actual technology adoption, not just theoretical research. So we oftentimes partner with companies, or the applications that we're looking at have real world touch points here in the college or elsewhere. Also with me today is Akshay. Akshay, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Akshay Pandit. I'm a second year PhD student here at University of Illinois. I'm majoring in civil engineering with a concentration in computational science and engineering. So there goes my interest in machine learning and blockchain and to all the other disruptive technologies. So I worked with Jake this summer on this private blockchain project, and I'm also a very keen investor slash enthusiast in the crypto world and the blockchain world. So I'm always excited to see new opportunities to learn about blockchain, and it's really nice to be here today. Thank you.
Absolutely, thank you. So to give some more context, we've in the Disruption Lab, we've been focusing on three main areas. One of them is the metaverse. We've been doing some thinking on the metaverse. Another one is the future of work and what that looks like, not just from a technology standpoint, but also just from an operational standpoint. And then the third one, and the one that's you're here talking today and has had the most investment from our group, is blockchain. So blockchain is a technology that we see in the Gies College of Business as up and coming. It's going to revolutionize a lot of the things that we're doing. And being primarily an account and audit school, there's just a lot of questions as we get into the blockchain technologies about how they're regulated and how they're taxed and how all those things work together. And so step one, Professor Brunner asked us as a disruption lab this summer to think about what would it look like to create technology for Gies that we could leverage throughout our classrooms, programs, and with our corporate partners. So we've got a team of 7 folks, including Akshay and 6 others, and we started working on this problem. We started very broad. We looked at what is blockchain, what are the applications. We went through decentralized finance. We went through NFTs. We covered the gamut, and then we kind of zeroed in on building infrastructure, specifically with Ethereum. And we did that. We picked Ethereum for a couple reasons. The biggest one is that it is, its ability to use smart contracts and code to really build out, the technology of tomorrow. So within that journey, we started to learn the building blocks. We settled on Geth, which is an open source implementation of the Ethereum blockchain. And the other constraint we had is we couldn't create a public blockchain. We wanted to create a private blockchain so that we can have kind of control over it. We could use it in a development type of environment. So we started to implement our own Geth blockchain. We also, at the same time, started to learn Solidity, which is the programming language for smart contracts in Ethereum. We also started to learn Web3, which is the interface language between, or protocol, between the blockchain and any kind of either outside entity. Could be JavaScript, could be Python, and others. Our implementation, we focused on Python and JavaScript. And so we broke up into teams and we started to develop the front end, which is like a blockchain explorer, not unlike Etherscan. In fact, I'll call it an Etherscan clone. And then we also started to look at maybe some real world applications that we could use this technology. So we looked at creating something we called a merchant coin, where we created a marketplace where people could come in and buy Gies merchandise through a cryptocurrency called this merch coin. And now the merch coin isn't going to be transacted other than in this store. It's really limited in its function. But in order to then expand out that type of functionality, we created what we're calling right now a Gies coin. And a Gies coin is just a copy of what's the copy? Thank you. So you say I have the louder for our friends too.
So basically, Gies coin is an ERC20, follows ERC20 protocols. So in any way, like the token is designed to be on the Ethereum, to follow the Ethereum protocols and be on any of the Ethereum private blockchains. So we are using a private blockchain, so it makes sense to have an ERC20 token.
Yep. And so that also means that we have other tools like any kind of wallets that are created for that protocol that we can use, and so on and so forth. So some of the things that we tackled along the way are containerizing our nodes so that we could spin up a node in a virtual machine at the drop of a hat. Also, the networking between nodes and with the outside world. How to do all the individual commands to be able to get that started. So in addition, we were looking at proof of authority consensus algorithm. There's 3 different types: proof of work, proof of stake, and proof of authority for the most part right now. Most blockchains work on proof of work, migrating to proof of stake in order to decrease the power consumption. Proof of authority works well in a private blockchain because you basically say which nodes have the ability to propagate the blockchain. So that's kind of where we're at now. That we've developed this proof of authority blockchain just recently. We now have a proof of authority blockchain. We do. And we've taken our smart contracts and we published them to the blockchain. We ran into some interesting problems. One of them was we kept on running out of gas. So gas is this concept, kind of like gas in your car, except on the blockchain, it's what makes everything go. And so you need a certain amount of gas in order to basically think about it in terms of processing power, to be able to buy processing power. And gas has its own fees related to cryptocurrencies that are set by the market. Again, not unlike gas has a price in the real world. So in our private network, we don't really, there's not any really charge to the gas that we're using. But if it is a commodity that you can consume, and if we consume too much, then our contracts don't publish. And so that's something that we've been working through in our blockchain implementation. But then we're also starting to consider security more. How do we lock it down? And we're just starting to connect our blockchain to our front end applications. So that's currently this semester, that's what we're working on. And hopefully at some point this semester, we're going to have an internal release within the disruption lab, and then a release hopefully within Gies, and then further on and further on. So with that, I'm happy to open up to any questions anyone might have.
Yeah, I do have one question. Why Ethereum? Because is it because it might be one of the first ones? Because I think the transaction fees with Ethereum is so high. The whole purpose of blockchain is to make it available to the people, right? And if the transaction fees are very high, that purpose might not be really met. So I'm just curious on why Ethereum rather than any other. There are Tejos, there are like Cardano's, few other blockchains, right, with less transaction fees and.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, because we're a private blockchain, we don't really have to worry too much about the transaction fees. And because we're doing proof of authority, that also makes it a lot easier in terms of a consensus algorithm. So why Ethereum? Probably just because of the current amount of code base out there that we could leverage, and also training. It's an easy first step. And as we explore more, we're probably going to bring in other technologies and be able to merge them together.
I have a couple of pointers to add as well. We are using Ethereum because, again, as Jake mentioned, it's going to be a private blockchain. So we do not, and plus we are going to be using click proof of authority. So it does not require anything related to high gas fees payment, because we're going to be using certified valid authorities to verify the transactions. The second pointer is because I believe, right, the moment we started, it was the only functioning blockchain which had smart contracts, because Cardano was supposed to introduce smart contracts this September. I still don't know whether they have.
They just did.
Just did. Solana actually has smart contracts, but its ecosystem is quite different from Ethereum, I believe. And also Solana crashed a couple of weeks ago. So there's still a lot of space for other projects to prove their worth right now. And it's the only, Ethereum right now is the only streamlined, smoothly functioning blockchain that can easily allow for private authorities or organizations to easily use their protocols and create a functioning private blockchain.
Yeah. So I understand the definite utility of choosing to do this deployment of Ethereum, because I would say probably the best established of sort of the alternative chains that could do smart contracts. so you could fork it easily and do your own thing. Out of curiosity, with the proof of authority model, the way you guys have it set up, does that mean that these authorized these authorized miners will say, are they competing among themselves to create blocks, or is there some sort of a schedule where they say, I have this slot or whatever?
Yeah, so right now they do not compete with each other for validating the transactions, but do you know what system have we assigned for different validators to validate the transactions?
The short answer to that is we're still looking into it. We don't quite understand the whole mechanism yet. So probably that's an assignment I gave one of our members this week.
Okay.
And so I guess we're still understanding.
Good question.
Great question.
Hey, Jake, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I just put a question in the chat in terms of these private tokens. I didn't catch the name. What do you call them? Just get tokens?
Oh, ERC20.
Okay, that's the standard. I thought you had given it a name.
No.
Merge tokens, I think you
Oh,
said.
well, yeah, so we named the token that we created, that we cloned, we have a merchant token and a Gies token.
Okay.
So
So,
we create other tokens based on naming rights.
so is there a sort of roadmap developed to how these tokens interact with the Ethereum ecosystem or not yet?
We have a plan right now to connect the private with the public network. That might be something down the road, but for right now, we're just trying to create a safe playground.
Okay.
Why did you even choose private in the first place? If your cost was an issue, why not just go to their two solutions like Polygon or something like that? Why was it necessary for private and have a different consensus on it?
Yeah, so great question. So it wasn't only cost that was the consideration, but also security. This is a network that we want to develop and learn from. And so we wanted more control over it. Being a relatively low number of users, at least at first, we'd be susceptible to 51% tax and things of that nature. And so we just want to make sure that we understand the technology before we really start trying to connect to any kind of public blockchain. Especially being a university entity, it could be, and getting into the crypto space, there's a lot of regulation and rules, and there could be a lot of scrutiny over connecting into some of these public networks.
Prasad is asking the Get blockchain you said?
Yeah.
GET?
Yeah.
And asked, is there a source that we can list of where people can go to find more information about this project, software project?
Yeah, it's GETH.
Geth, okay.
Yep, and if you search Ethereum Geth, I think it's Go Geth.
Go Ethereum.
Go Ethereum.
Go Ethereum Geth. Okay.
Go Ethereum.org or something.
Vishal posted it. Fantastic, thank you.
Yep. And so you can easily create your own blockchains. It's a little bit harder to do the containerization, is what we found. And there's also other programs out there like Rubinsky networks and that kind of create your own local private blockchains. And so it's easy to connect to the Rubinsky test network and pull up your own Get nodes. It's a little bit more tricky to just have your own Geth instance independent of any kind of other networks. There's just some more configurations that you need to set up that are not as, there's not that many tutorials out there for them right now. But if you're interested in our project to get more of the details, we'd be happy to talk and share that information.
Where's it hosted out of curiosity, like the university's AWS or something else for the university hard servers?
So we actually have a partnership with NCSA.
Okay, cool.
And through that, the College of Business has something like a few hundred virtual machines and a few was it, how many terabytes of, like, hundreds of terabytes of storage. So it's a ridiculous amount of compute resources that we leverage for our data science initiatives, and we're also borrowing for this project.
I mean, this is a Bitcoin Cash, so you don't need that much storage. But
Right. Oh, there's one other thing I wanted to share with this group. So this isn't completely public knowledge yet. However, I think you'd be interested. The university has received a donation of $100,000 in Bitcoin. And so we're trying to figure out what, if anything, should we do with this cryptocurrency.
so is the university's advancement office has been receiving that through, I think, like BitPay or one of the facilitation companies for a while, but this is a person who actually wants to transfer the actual asset and make the university accept the asset. So the university this is something that the university is taking on the asset. Nice.
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know the details actually.
Okay.
But there's more and more interest in this space.
Yeah.
And I think you'll find that there will be additional investments and additional work.
Yeah.
Especially out of Gies College of Business.
It'll be interesting. The state of Illinois recently passed a special depository law where companies and banks and financial institutions within the state of Illinois can be set up in order to be entrusted as custodians of digital assets specifically. So it could be that there could be a local company or local entity that would handle that. And then there's also, Coinbase and Kraken that are the big national, international custodians too. I doubt that it's going to go in a Trezor in some IT guy's desk. Or maybe 3 IT guys' desks if they're going to do multi-sig, right?
Right. We do have another project. So I should talk about current. So that's what we did this summer. Going into this upcoming fall semester, we're looking at the 3 projects in blockchain. One of them is just shoring up what we've already done to make sure that that's stable. The other one is to create a some research around real ID. So hooking up our front end to the university Azure Active AD single sign-on, so that we'll be able to have university students actually sign into our front end. And then also use that real ID to potentially do things like replace your icon. In addition, we're looking into credentialing. So right now, if you wanted to get your transcripts, you'd have to go to the registrar office. It's a big, long, involved process. So we're starting to look at what would that look like on the blockchain if you were to have your transcript or your skills, not just your degrees, but even credentials, or this concept of micro badging, so that you can provide all of your digital resume to your to an employer at the just by giving them some kind of maybe secret key or something to identify your maybe you make a wallet for your your skills, like a skills wallet type of product. So a lot of exciting, fun things that we're up to. We have 3 teams working on this now, which is maybe about 20 to 25 people. Yeah. So we're building that skills base. We're looking to continue to build upon this. Hopefully in the semesters to come, that number will grow. We have about 100 people total in the disruption lab right now. My goal is maybe 125, 150 next semester, and we'll continue to kind of grow these capabilities and do some really cool stuff. So.
Prasad asked if there's a good place to start learning about creating your own private blockchain. Maybe you guys have resources you could point to of where you started your research on creating a private blockchain, and also if there are any courses, perhaps from Gies, that would offer this kind of perspective.
So the best way to learn about how to create a private network based on Ethereum is to go for get documentation, which is if you search for private networks /get, it will you just Google it and you will find the first thing there, and it then just explains what actually private blockchain is, why is it called private. It's called private because it's not connected to the public nodes. So basically it's out from the public domain. And then it basically gives you idea about how to set up your node and like how to set up your nodes, how to set up your virtual machine and all the related stuff which you need to create your own private network. I don't believe that Gies College of Business has any courses.
Yeah.
They do?
You said yes.
Yeah. But hopefully in the future, if you are looking to learn how to build smart contracts, like if you are pretty new to the space and if you want to learn, there's a really good resource called Crypto Zombies.
I was just gonna mention that,
Yeah, it's an amazing resource in terms of if you want to learn how to code in Solidity, how to create your smart contracts, how to create your ERC20 tokens, how to get your hands on the front end side of the blockchain, which is like using web3.js. And then if you want to set up your own, for testing purposes, if you want to have an Ethereum blockchain, which is like set up on your local system. It also teaches you about Ganache, Truffle, and all that fancy stuff, which you need to know to test your smart contracts and to basically see if it works on blockchain.
I think Remix is also something that they can
Yeah.
try.
Remix is also, it's an IDE, right?
Yeah.
It's an online, it's an online IDE which basically you can just go to their website and then start building smart contracts. And it can test those smart contracts on their system because it's already well set up. But Ganache, along with Truffle, gives you a lot more flexibility in terms of like how much you want to like set up your system in terms of changing background details for the blockchain and all the other stuff.
I just sent you the Crypto Zombies link.
I got it, thank you.
Um,
And what was the, I'm sorry, what was the other one again that you mentioned?
Ganache and Truffle.
Could you spell those out?
Truffle is TRUFFLE and Ganache is GANACHE.
Ganache truffle sweet, nice.
Another like good on-system IDE would be Atom, which supports Solidity. So basically, if you are not that kind of person who's like a lot into Linux-based command-based writing of scripts. So basically, if you are not a CMD person, you can basically use Atom, which has a user interface, so you can just build your contracts over there.
Atom.io.
Yeah, and then deploy it on GitHub.
So you guys got this deployed over the summer and started, right? Was that right? And then started investigating it.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It was quick turnaround.
Yeah. It's really surprising to be honest, because within 3 months we learned all this stuff and we were able to come up with a functioning prototype and then switching to proof of authority from proof of work, which was more required because it's a private blockchain, plus we are looking to make it more and more secure because initially we just want to learn from this.
Yeah.
We need to create applications which would help us to learn about the blockchain better, basically help other students and faculty members to get to know about how users interact with blockchain. It's kind of like a sort of smaller version or smaller simulation of real life blockchain. So they get an idea of its functioning.
You want to me up?
Did I? Yeah, I can absolutely do that. Let me find you. There you go.
So I wanted to share a little bit here of what our setup is currently. So we basically created a series of nodes within our virtual machines. And then there's something called a Web3 server that's provided with the Geth installation. And the Web3 server is then what creates that protocol between the blockchain and the front end. We're actually doing right now a Python backend into a JavaScript application. So the JavaScript application doesn't have any Web3 right now. But this works for our deployment currently, and that'll change. We'll eventually get rid of the Python backend and just go straight into the JavaScript applications. But what actually happens on the chain is we deploy to a single node, and then the single node propagates the deployment to the other nodes through the consensus algorithm. So if you were to delete one of the nodes, then the data would still be present on the chain. So we've tested this, and that all works. And in order to show you a little bit more, what we're doing is right now we're just doing this on a single virtual machine. And we've spun up a few different nodes within the Docker containers. And we're able to again, kind of communicate in between these different nodes respectively here. And so we are developing some elements to talk about, like what is blockchain, what does a transaction look like? So here's some screenshots of the interesting, where we just kind of go and look at a block and then dig down into transactions and show an account and how all that works together. But it's still early days yet. We haven't spent a lot of time developing the resources, so that will be a continued effort this semester.
All right, any more questions?
Yeah. Hey, this is Prasad. How do I get involved with the disruption labs? As I said, I'm a student of IMBA program here, but at the same time, not finding much on how do we get involved with the disruption lab and the process and everything.
Yeah, in fact, one of our people, our developers this summer was a MBA student, and she worked remotely with the team. We all worked remotely this summer, but so you can actually apply. I'm going to send that application link up here, and the next application cycle won't be until this spring semester. But if you're interested, definitely reach out. I'll put my contact details in the chat here, and I'd love to get you involved. And, maybe there's some ways we can integrate you into some of our projects.
Yep, thank you.
So here's the application link.
All right, well, I think that just kind of wraps up what we had for the formal presentation today, unless there's any more lingering questions.
Will we have these meetups again?
These meetups?
Yeah.
Yes, we have these meetups every third Thursday of the month. We're going to try to keep doing them hybrid here in this conference room, but also have the link for anybody who needs to meet via Zoom because they can't be here either because they're at a distance or just for whatever reason they wouldn't be able to meet in person.
So I can get people who are just interested and not part of the Meetup as well.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Did you find us on the Meetup website or did you get it from a?
No,
email?
actually, one of the professors sent me the link. Her name is Vanchu.
Okay,
Yeah, she said this meeting is going on. Just join.
yeah. If you go to meetup.org/Champaign Blockchain Meetup, I can give you the website afterwards here too.
All right.
You can get signed up for our mailing list,
All right.
and then you'll get announcements whenever we have one.
Great. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, guys, both, for your presentation. I'll just give you a formal round of applause. I'll give you a round of applause. And I'll close out for the meeting here online, or at least the recording. So you guys have a great one.